Hey everyone, here are some PC games scheduled to come out at the end of 2012. Everyone knows what Call of Duty is, so I don't think I have to go into detail about it. Black Ops 2 is more of the same, except with a futuristic vibe to it. The original Black Ops is probably my favorite Call of Duty, simply because of all its features. Things like zombies, combat training, and theater mode are nice to have. It seems like Black Ops 2 is not just keeping those features, but improving on them. For example, zombie mode will now be 8 players instead of just 4, and there will be a campaign mode for it as well. Black Ops 2 comes out November 13th. The LEGO games are not my cup of tea, unfortunately, but for those that do like these games, this one looks to be the best so far. The game uses events from all 3 Lord of the Rings movies, and it seems to have more RPG elements than the previous LEGO games by adding an inventory system so you can acquire new items and weapons as the story advances. It comes out November 13th. Planetside II is an MMO FPS made by SOE. I'm in the beta, and I have to say, it's quite good. It's kind of like a Battlefield game where you take over and defend points on the map. The world is huge too, with 3 continents to explore. There are also vehicles and aircrafts you can use. Best of all, it's free to play, so I definitely recommend it if you like PvP games. Planetside II comes out November 20th. Another game I'm trying out right now is MechWarrior Online. It's an online mech simulator game based off the old MechWarrior series. I think the last MechWarrior game came out 12 years ago. You basically fight in a team of giant robots against another team of giant robots. You win by capturing the enemy team's base, or I guess by destroying them all, since there is no respawning. Once you're dead, you're dead. It's not quite as noob friendly as other games, so I would recommend watching a beginner's guide video before playing. But even then, prepare to get your butt kicked. You can play it right now since it's in open beta. It doesn't have a release date yet, but it's supposed to be released before the end of the year, and it will be free to play. Hitman Absolution is the 5th game in the Hitman series, a series which I love very much. If you never played Hitman Blood Money, you're missing out. This latest game has had quite a bit of controversy. I remember people complaining about the first gameplay footage they showed, which has Agent 47 being hunted by the police in a Chicago library. People thought it looked too linear, but I just think it's because it's the first level. If you play the first level of Blood Money, it's the same way because it's basically a tutorial level. Another controversy is the Attack of the Saints trailer, where Agent 47 takes out a group of latex-clad nuns. Another controversy was that longtime voice actor of Agent 47, David Bateson, was not going to be in this one, which upset fans like myself because he is Agent 47, in the same way John St. John is Duke Nukem,
I'll rip your head off and shit down your neck,
or James McCaffrey is Max Payne.
The pills would make the pain go away for a while.
You just can't replace those guys. Here is David Bateson doing the voice.
Now get off my back, or I'll slit your throat. Now listen to the city. If anyone mentions the girl, you know what to do.
And here is the replacement they had.
I need information.
Well, that's my business. Information. You need information, I find information.
At a price, of course.
You're damn right at a price. Of course.
A girl named Victoria. The agency wants her bad, I need to know why.
Thankfully, they saw the errors in their ways and got David Bateson back. And the last controversy I could think of is the loss of... oh boy. Well, here's his name. Now to me, that looks like Jesper Kyd. But that's not how you say it at all, apparently. This is him saying his name.
Jesper Kyd.
What? Jesper Kyd?
Jesper Kyd.
Okay, so I'll just call him Jesper, I guess. He did the soundtracks for all the Hitman games. They were great and really added a lot to the games in my opinion, but for some reason he won't be back for this one. I guess he likes Assassin games since he also did the soundtrack for the Assassin's Creed games, although he's also not doing the latest installment of that one either. Hitman Absolution comes out November 20th. Speaking of Assassin's Creed 3, I don't really have anything to say about this since I still need to beat the first 4 games. Wait a minute, there are 4 games, but this is part 3? I'm confused. It's also weird watching him fight people during the American Revolution. It just seems like a bizarre time setting for me for this type of game, but I don't know, maybe it's good. Assassin's Creed 3 comes out November 20th. Darkfall Unholy Wars is I guess the sequel to the 2009 MMO Darkfall. I believe it was originally an expansion pack, but in the middle of working on it, they decided to make it its own game since it changed a lot. Unholy Wars will have new ways to build your character and a whole new world to explore. The original Darkfall will close down, but supposedly people who own the original Darkfall will be able to play Unholy Wars without having to buy the game. They just have to pay the monthly fee. I loved Darkfall the first week I played it since it was the closest thing I've seen to Ultima Online, but then I started to see how terrible the PvE content was, and the skills and alignment system was poorly done, so I eventually quit. Plus it had one of the worst launches ever. There is not a whole lot of info or footage on it, which is weird since it's scheduled to come out November 20th. I don't see this going well.
Calculated a little.
Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition is a remake of the original Baldur's Gate and the Tales of the Sword Coast expansion. It'll include new adventures, new characters, and a bunch of improvements. Then next year they will do the same thing with Baldur's Gate 2. And if those make money, then they want to make a Baldur's Gate 3. The only thing I don't like about this is that it will only be available on Beamdog's website. It won't be at other stores like Steam or Good Old Games, at least not at launch. I think this is a big mistake on their part. Square did the same thing with their recent release of Final Fantasy VII for PC. I just don't see how limiting your sales can be good. Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition comes out November 28th. Far Cry 3 is one of those open world first person shooters that you can do a lot in, similar to a Fallout 3. I always wish those type of games had co-op. Well, Far Cry 3 actually added a co-op campaign to it. It takes place 6 months before the events of the single player campaign. I just wonder how linear it's going to be, or if it will actually have a decent sized open world to play around in. Far Cry 3 comes out December 4th. Hawkin is a mech-based first-person shooter developed by indie developer Adhesive Games. It's similar to MechWarrior Online, but a lot more faster-paced. I noticed a lot of MechWarrior Online players bashing this game because it's faster-paced, and saying it's for the Call of Duty crowd. I just have to say, chill out fanboys. Just because there's another mech-based first-person shooter out there, doesn't mean you have to start bashing it. It reminds me of all the people fighting over other FPS games like Battlefield versus Call of Duty, or MOBA games where it's like Dota versus League of Legends. Just play what you like, you don't have to choose sides. Anyways, there are 4 game modes planned for release. Team Deathmatch, Free-for-All, Siege, and Missile Assault, which looks pretty cool. They also said they would like to add a co-op mode if they have the time. Also, the graphics look pretty good for an indie game. Hawkin comes out December 12th and will be free to play.
You've demanded it for decades, and now your favorite WWE arcade game is back. WWE Wrestling Fast.
What the fudge? Okay, first of all, I like the old WrestleFest game in the arcade, but I don't think anyone has been demanding it for decades. You know what we have been wanting forever? Another game similar to the N64 wrestling games like No Mercy. But no, we get this terrible looking WrestleFest remake. Is this just me, or do the graphics look like crap? I mean, I like the old 1991 graphics better than this. It's already out on iPhone and iPad, and supposedly comes to the PC December 20th. The PC really needs a good wrestling game, and this is what WWE gives us. Path of Exile is a fantasy action RPG made by indie developer Grinding Gear Games. It looks and feels more like Diablo 2 than Diablo 3 did. I love all the customization options you get for building your character, even though it's a bit overwhelming at first. The game will be free to play when it's released, but it doesn't have a release date yet. However, open beta starts in December, so you will be able to play it this year. If you can't wait until December, you can go to their website and buy your way into the closed beta and start playing now. And finally, I want to talk about the two big zombie survival games, DayZ and The War Z. Now DayZ is a popular mod for the game Arma 2. It was designed by Dean Hall, who is now doing a standalone version of the game that won't require Arma 2. There won't be much added to the standalone version at first. It will mostly focus on bug fixes and preventing hacking. Things that can't really be done easily with the current Arma 2 engine that it uses. There will be some new improved features. One I'm currently looking forward to is more accessible buildings. One thing I really hate about the current DayZ is that I see all these buildings around, but very few of them are enterable. Another thing and I think most people hate is the inventory system. The standalone will have new inventory management, thankfully. DayZ does not have a release date yet, but they say it will be out before the year ends. Now The War Z is a very similar game to DayZ. It's kind of a shameless ripoff really, which is why a ton of DayZ fans attack it. But like I said earlier, I don't care to get into that drama. Just stick with the game you like and chill out. Zombie survival is hardly an original game idea anyways. The War Z is not a mod, it has its own engine, which gives it a slight advantage over the DayZ mod right now. Things like the inventory system are just a lot more user-friendly in the War Z. It also has a lot more interiors from what I've seen, which is a big plus in my book. You can even make multiple characters and trade items between them. I also like how they used a more traditional slow zombie as opposed to the fast running zombies. This is just personal preference, but I prefer slow zombies in my zombie games and movies. However, the downside to that is that they're a lot more easier to kill. The War Z does not have a release date yet, but you can buy it right now and start playing the alpha version. Well, that's pretty much it for now, unless you want to hear about Disney's Epic Mickey 2. No? Okay, thanks for watching.